Now for Mark Levin's Short Takes on Levin TV.
You notice everything that Biden and the Democrats want to do, everything they try to advance, is a national security imperative, except actually when it comes to national security, then it's not a national security imperative. These are a bunch of Svengalis. They really are. They are a bunch of Houdinis, if you will, in a political perspective. It's just shocking the way they talk, what they get away with, how the media conduct themselves. It's a comedy show, except for the fact it's deadly serious. Now, what am I talking about? Well, among other things, there's a guy named Jake Sullivan. He's the National Security Advisor. He's the worst of the worst. He's one of the worst in this administration. He is. I view him as a hate America firster, a hate Israel firster. He is a disaster. And there he is, head of the National Security Council. It's just unbelievable. And so now they want you to believe that the most outrageous attempt by the Democrat Party to steal national elections from here to eternity is a national security imperative. So one party, Democrat Party rule in this country, which is what H.R. 1 and S1 would do, and we've gone through it many, many times. You can go back and check the archives. That its passage is a national security imperative. No, it is a Democrat Party imperative. It is a disaster to our constitutional system. But here he is. Go.
Second question, Jake, on voting, the For the People's Act. If it is not passed, what is the national security issue with it? Is there a national security issue with it if it's not passed? Because we've heard so much over the past few years about issues of voting. If that is not passed, is it a national security issue?
I would say the basic notion of democratic reform and voting rights in the United States is a national security issue. We are in a competition of models with autocracies, and we are trying to show the world that American democracy and democracy writ large can work, can effectively deliver the will of the people.
God, I hate these people. God. So if we don't have drop boxes, if we don't allow 16 and 17-year-olds to register, if we allow individuals to register as opposed to citizens, if we prevent having a clean election rolls, that is, reviewing rolls and removing dead people and others from the rolls, and if we do not have voter ID and all the rest of it, then we have democracy. If we put in place, to quote Obama, guardrails to make sure our system is working. Guardrails that were in place 2 years ago before the virus, when the Democrat Party exploited it in one state after another for electoral purposes. Then we are a tyranny, and this is a national security threat. I mean, we're supposed to have a press that challenges fools like this, not agrees with them and throws them softballs. Go ahead.
We are not updating, refurbishing, revamping our own democratic processes and procedures to meet the needs of the modern moment, then we are not going to be as successful in making that case to the rest of the world.
Now, I think I read that 43 out of 44, 42 out of 43 European countries that vote have voter ID. Must be white supremacy. They have voter ID. And yet I hear in most autocracies, they like to use that word, and theocracies and Marxist regimes and all the rest, they don't only have voter ID, they know the outcome. They're much like the Democrat Party. Keep voting, keep voting, keep voting until we win. We win, you know. We'll know the outcome in advance. I don't know, it seems to me sending ballots out to any address in any state, that's kind of a stupid idea, don't you think? Considering the mobility of the American people, and people are going to get multiple ballots, that's just a matter of fact. And so this isn't about national security. This is about destroying our constitutional republic. And these state legislatures, the serious ones, some of the Republican ones, are trying to pull it back to the pre-coronavirus period. That's all they're doing. And some of them have even made their laws more liberal than they were at that time, allowing earlier voting and so forth, allowing absentee ballot more broadly than they did before. And so it's not that people are standing still and so forth. We're just tired of the Democrats stealing stuff. Go ahead.
To Russia or to anyone else. And so there is a national security dimension to this today, just as there was through the decades of the Cold War.
I don't understand a damn thing that fool just said. But the media love it. No follow-up question like, now wait a minute. Are you saying getting rid of voter ID, signature verification, allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to register to vote, and if they go and vote, that they're not allowed to be challenged? If you say registering individuals to vote as opposed to citizens voting doesn't open the door to, among others, illegal aliens, how does that improve democracy, and how does that help us look overseas? That is how a reporter asks a question like this. It's like Anderson Cooper questioning Barack Obama the other day. What do you think about Trump? What do you think about the Republicans? What do you think about... No, Anderson. You don't ask Obama about the other guys. Ask Obama about himself. Why don't you ask him questions like, why didn't you speak out during the summer riots? Why didn't you say anything? Black Lives Matter says Marxist and anti-Semitic. Why do you embrace them? Why do you and Michelle talk about equity when you're both worth $250 million since you left the White House? I mean, there's so many questions that could have been it. But no, what do you think about Trump and Trump supporters and Charlottesville and other... This is our media.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.